I'm here today to talk about a real desire to bring people together for scientific collaboration. And this presentation is meant to honor work that's already happening in the space and sort of put out a bit of a call to arms for better collaboration in the space so that we can work with the time that we have to serve the earth. Because it's my belief that we have enough time to make change, but we need to act swiftly and efficiently with each other. So this slide here shows me and my collaborator, Ned Horning. So Ned is a super sweet gentleman that was with NASA for many years, loves data, and is with Region Network Development full-time. And he and I started chatting maybe back in May of this year about the need for deeper collaboration in the scientific space. And things have been germinating, and then when GR15 launched in September, Gitcoin Round 15, I had to get over my fear of leading and say, to hell with it, it's time. I can't wait any longer. Nature can't wait on me any longer to start the damn thing, so we're gonna do it. And Resci Network was born out of that. Okay, so I just want to talk about decentralized science, and I'm not gonna harp on the fundamentals of decentralized science, aka DeSci, too much, because I imagine that many of you have heard about this. But I think that this slide sort of encapsulates a funny juxtaposition where we have Nature titling an article, "Call to join the decentralized science movement," and then blocking the article with this buy or subscribe button, which pretty much in one little visual you can see where we're at, right? So capitalist models have owned science for a really long time, and that's okay, because that's gotten us to where we are today, right? Like, human evolution is a process, totally okay. No one was bad or wrong in creating this system, but now we know enough to know that this isn't gonna get us to where we're going. Okay, so I wanna give some props to TradSci. I don't know if anyone's using the term TradSci, but I think it's good shorthand for academia. So we've got the Society for Conservation Biology. Test. Gracias, okay. Bueno, we've got the Ecological Society of America. So these folks, like, they really care. They really do give a shit. And they're deep, deep, deep in academia. And as a result, they're a bit siloed for collaboration. We've also got some folks at Earthshot Institute who are doing some great work in small-scale collaborative science. So they've got about 2,000 members. And of those 2,000 members, they have 6 active labs working on some really cool stuff. They've got bison reintroduction, above ground forest biomass tracking, and they're locating beaver dams. And then they've got Earthshot Labs, which is their for-profit arm, doing some cool stuff with like decision-making framework tooling, and very much want to collaborate deeper with Earthshot. We've also got Open Earth, and the folks at Open Earth have been very excited about collaborating, and they've got a really awesome program. Their Ocean program is one of 4 that's that they're working on, and the Ocean program is something that's a collaboration with Region Network, and they've been sort of tasked with this process of creating an ocean credit, which I think is super stellar. And you'll see later in my presentation that I'm extremely bullish on highly specialized verticals for the development of holistic eco-credits. So I'm stoked to see that folks are working on the ocean methodology already. And my question is, how can we better empower them? How can we get them in touch with other ocean specialists? And then we've got some amazing friends of mine from the space. There's a lot of like individuals who have found each other on Twitter, like social media native conversations, things popping up in Twitter spaces, such as the Demeter group. And we've also got testing, okay. We've also got MRV 101. And what I want to say about Demeter and MRV 101 is that I'm extremely excited by how much passion these individuals have for decentralized science, decentralized MRV, and also they need a little bit of help in getting oriented to hard science. So there's a bit of like a knowledge gap that can be filled with better infrastructure. So next I want to shout out Regen Network and what they're working on. So they have been building quietly for several years. Regen Network is a layer 1 on the Cosmos SDK, and they're doing some pretty cool stuff. So they envision a world in which we can build better credits and have better marketplaces for credits. And so they have very good relationships. They've been compiling scientists in different avenues through their Discord server. They have an open science channel. They also have high-low working groups that are a bit more specific. And then they also have their subsidiary R&D, Regen Network Development, that's doing deep science. And my co-founder, Ned Horning, is employed by R&D. So my take on this is that, like, the people who are working at Regen Network, super knowledgeable, super passionate. They also come from a permaculture background, which is amazing. And they've been building a little bit quietly in a corner and also need a little bit of a better connection with a greater scientific ecosystem. So this is the world that I imagine. And I think, well, I can only say what I interpret to be the truth. I'm not going to speak on behalf of Regen Network, but I think this is also the world that they envision as per some late night fireside chats. So basically, we've got to compile scientists into working groups that are really, really knowledgeable on a specific area, like biodiversity, soil health, water health, carbon storage, social impact. This is not meant to be an overview of all the things we should be accounting for. This is a list of examples, okay? So imagine a world where we've got a working group for water health, and that's compiled of academic scientists from all over the world, as well as citizen scientists who have been at it for a long time, who can perhaps capture data from their backyard with you know, peer-to-peer upload mechanisms, right? And so once we find cohesion and consensus upon these verticals and what these methodologies are in each individual vertical, we can then horizontally compose them into a holistic eco-credit that actually can speak a bit better for an ecosystem. And I want to say that I'm someone who has deeply struggled with the idea of commodifying nature. It's something that troubles me, and also I know that where we are in late-stage capitalism, there is no way we're getting around the monetary system. And so our best bet is to give nature as accurate a voice as we can in the monetary system and to create regenerative economic systems that provide wealth both to the scientists creating the methodologies and to the people stewarding the land. So this is a rough sketch of how I envision Resci Network helping. So we've got projects. So these circles are meant to sort of be shorthand for like concentrated communication, okay? So circles of communication. You can imagine this, a Discord server, one day hopefully replaced by Discord something else, right? Or even a Reddit thread, who knows, right? So we can have multiple projects, and it's been my experience that like 8 to 12 people can reach really great consensus. So the goal for project experts is to find people who are most knowledgeable and passionate, get them together and help them work towards a central goal. We should also have specialty groups which are not constrained to the projects themselves, but are rather constrained to their areas of expertise. okay? And so you could have the water working group, the soil health working group, the social impact working group, right? And then the projects who have land relationships, individual project proponent relationships, they can consult to specialty experts. And so by creating a mycelial network for communication and collaboration, helping people find each other more readily, we can facilitate this process. So this is what we want to do in the short term at Resci Network. So we want to first and foremost create community. And we want to do that by building focused communication containers. So we're all sick of Discord, right? But it's what we have, and hopefully there's like better versions of it coming soon. But like, I'm not gonna wait for that. We're gonna start, and we're gonna start on Discord. We've already opened our Discord, and so there'll be working groups which are particular to projects, and then there'll be specialty groups dedicated to areas of expertise. And my vision is that not only can the expertise groups house experts, but also house aspiring experts, because what we need is mentorship also, right? And a place for these folks who are so well-intentioned, who find this area of action on Twitter, but maybe don't have the background, could actually get trained by an existing specialist. And so first and foremost, we're a community with concentrated communication containers. Secondly, we're a public knowledge base. Paying for Notion, paying for a closed source software, eye roll, right? But it works, and I can transfer consensus, and multiple people who are in leadership roles in Resci Network, right, can be responsible for transferring consensus knowledge to a public interface where anyone can go to resci.network and be like, okay, this is what people are working on. This is what consensus they've reached. And we can have, you know, individual links to each point of consensus that can be referenced later in points of conversation, right? So the directory of ongoing projects and consensus on existing methodologies is important to be in the KB. Also, the directory of organizations working on things, as well as the experts that are available for collaboration and knowledge generation. So you can think of this as like your meta cartel for science, or whatever the fuck, right? So you can come here and say, I need a soil specialist, I need them now. You can find them, you can find their credentials, you can find how to get in contact with them, okay? And then lastly, we need terminology definitions in decentralized science, particularly for ecosystem regeneration. And Regen Network has been thinking and accumulating knowledge on a lot of this for a while, and I think there just needs to be an organization that steps forward and holds a torch and says, like, come collaborate, set definitions with us, but like, someone in the space has to set definitions, otherwise we can't communicate effectively with each other. So I think it's okay for Resci Network to take a bold step in setting some terminology while being open to community collaboration on the setting of that terminology. Because the less time we can spend explaining ourselves over and over again, the more time we can spend serving nature. Lastly, methodology proposals themselves are pretty obscure right now. It's pretty loose as to what are the pieces of data, what are the pieces of interpretation, by what means are we defining what a methodology proposal is, right? There's no skeleton framework for that yet, and I think setting a minimum viable expectation of a methodology proposal could actually really empower people instead of flailing in like, where do I start, what is a methodology? If we provide the skeleton, then people can plug and play with what they have. Lastly, in our next 6 months, we want to host a 3-day Catalyst workshop with 30 leaders in the space, mixture of folks who are deeply from the academic space, folks who are leaders in creating credits, all of that. We want to bring folks together because some of the most powerful collaboration happens in person, as you guys know, since you're sitting here in Bogota. So we want to create a really curated, powerful container for driving this forward. And then in phase 2, which will hopefully blossom into many phases, but to give you an idea of where we'd like to be a year from now, we want to steward a pretty large treasury to do some badass stuff. We want to help folks create robust methodologies and review those methodologies. We want to help with data collection and analysis. And the thing that I'm most excited about is the creation/integration of existing tooling into a single user interface that is optimized for this type of collaboration. Because what I'm talking about right now is like a slew of links, right? We've got Discord, we've got Notion, probably have a GitHub. Like, it'll be a bunch of shit floating around. And that's really hugely, that's a lot of friction for someone from academia who hangs out in Excel spreadsheets and can email their stuff for peer review to a few people. This is a lot of platforms to interact with, and I don't want to reinvent the wheel, but I want to collaborate with folks that are deeply looking at questions of decentralized identification, all of that, and just cobble together something really awesome to create a single user interface for this collaboration. And I think, lastly, that's just going to roll out a bit of a red carpet here for us to get traditional scientists involved in the space. Okay, so lastly, this is my call to action. So we're reachable by email, by Twitter. I want to give a shout out to Gitcoin. So some of you may know that I was full-time with Gitcoin for a while in partnerships management and grants operations, and that was an amazing experience because I got to see how the sausage is made. And if I hadn't had that experience, I don't know how well I would have done it putting up a grant, learning how to use the user interface, helping others get their grants up. So it was amazing to spend time with Gitcoin, and I'm really bullish on quadratic funding and funding public goods. Resign Network is a non-for-profit, and we are a public good, and we are raising funds as such. So we raised $20K in GR15, which I'm really excited about. Thank you, thank you. Which is giving me freedom to leave my full-time role, right, at Gitcoin and step into clothes that fit me a little bit better in working towards land regeneration. And I want to say that we're going to be on GR16, so that QR code will go to our grant link. If you want to bookmark it for a collection for donation in GR16, that would be amazing. And also, we're open to individual donations, right? So if you want to drop me fiat, that's totally fine. If you want to drop anything to resignetwork.eth, that's fine. We are here to facilitate collaboration, which means both the container for communication of words and data, as well as facilitating those relationships, and also facilitating the very hard conversations that come up when people, a group of 10 experts is trying to reach consensus on something as complex as a water methodology credit, right? And I come from an authentic relating background. I have many community members of support that also come from authentic relating backgrounds. And my hope is to be able to really get to the core of some of these really hard questions, differences of opinion on how methodologies can reach consensus so that we can move forward. So I see myself as someone who leads from their heart, as a space holder, first and foremost. And it would be my great pleasure to hold space for the regeneration in whatever way that I can. So thank you very much for your time.